We're going to close out the first week of the Christmas season with Death Wish 4. Let's do it. Hey, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to talk about Death Wish 4. Yes, the Crackdown. This is the first time in the Death Wish series or franchise that they had a subtitle under the title. This movie came out 2 years after Part 3. And Michael Winner did not come back to direct Part 4. He was busy on another film, but also he didn't want to come back because Charles Bronson had bashed Part 3 and said how much of a crappy time he had making that film. So Michael Winner did not come back, but a director that Charles Bronson had worked with quite a bit, actually 9 times in total over the career together, J. Lee Thompson, who was a British director as well. And he directed a ton of films: The Guns of the Navarone, the 1962 version of Cape Fear with Robert Mitchum, 10 Till Midnight with Charles Bronson, The Evil That Men Do, Murphy's Law, The Messenger of Death. They did many films together, and he came in. This is the only Death Wish film they did together, but J. Lee Thompson came in. Charles Bronson's back to play Paul Kersey, this time back in Los Angeles. Kay Lentz plays Karen, his new girlfriend, and they live together. Dana Barrows in this film as Erica. It's Karen's daughter, and you'll remember her from The Daughter in National Lampoon's Vacation. Yes. John Ryan plays Nathan White, and John Ryan had already done a film for Cannon, so he came in for this one to play this role, and he went on later on to play the one colonel with Chuck Norris in Delta Force 2. And he's been in a lot of films and TV work over the years, so yeah, he's recognizable. Now, this film is rated R. No duh, it's a Death Wish film. It's an hour and 39 minutes long. It was released November 6th of 1987. Had a $5 million budget, and it grossed only 6.8 upon release. So it wasn't a huge hit for Cannon Films. As a matter of fact, Cannon Films at this point weren't doing so well financially, and they had a lot of debt, and they were cutting budgets left and right on their films. I believe this film was supposed to have a higher budget, and they gave him 5, and they did penny pinch during the production of this film. We'll talk about that then. And basically, Paul Kersey is back in Los Angeles, being an architect like he was in the first 2 films. The third one, we never even talk about his job, really. And he has a new girlfriend, and her daughter. Well, we're reintroduced to Paul Kersey through a dream sequence. We see this woman about to be raped by these 3 men in an underground garage, and she's the only car in the garage, which is weird enough. Paul Kersey shows up, starts shooting the bad guys, and then he sees himself laying on the ground and him standing above him with a gun, and he wakes up. And that's how we're reintroduced to Paul Kersey. He's living back in Los Angeles, has a new girlfriend with her daughter, but her daughter's seeing this boy that they're not really thrilled with, and here she's smoking crack or doing drugs of some kind. And right away, within the first less than 10 minutes of the film, she dies of a heart attack because of a drug overdose. So Paul Kersey goes to seek out who she may have bought the drugs from. And he ends up shooting the one drug dealer at this arcade, like amusement type place. And the guy falls and lands on top of the cage for the bumper cars. And not so long after that, Paul Kersey is approached by this guy, Nathan White, played by John Ryan, and he is this rich guy who owns a newspaper, he says. And his daughter died of a drug overdose a few years earlier, and he's been keeping tabs of the major drug lords around Los Angeles, and he wants Paul Kersey to go take them out. And he gives him all this packet of information on these 2 different drug dealers and these gangs. And Paul Kersey accepts eventually. And he starts doing his thing, hunting them down and killing them. And during the course of doing this, he sets up this drug war between the 2 factions that had a peace treaty. And, oh, by the way, we also get a cameo from Danny Trejo's in here as one of the mobsters. He's only in it for maybe a minute. In a really bad effects scene. Paul Kersey goes in this Italian restaurant to pretend like he's a wine seller, like he's trying to sell this new wine from this new vineyard up in wine country in California. And Danny Trejo's in there with these 2 other guys, and they're eating lunch. And he goes over, "Oh, your customers are going to love it," he tells the bartender. He goes over, and he put an explosive at the bottom of the bottle. And he takes off to get away from it because it's about to go off. And it's a cheesy effect. It does not... You could tell they were slashing budgets Cannon around this point because the effect does not work at all. It's really bad. And basically at the end, the 2 factions start warring, and we have this shootout at this oil field, and Paul Kersey shows up and shoots him from afar with a sniper rifle. or some, a rifle with a scope on it, and they kill each other. And John Ryan's character Nathan White wants to meet, and here we come to find out that he set him up. They try to kill Kersey in an explosion, which his limo driver picks Kersey up, parks in this hill, says he'll be right here. We're gonna go get him. Gets out of the car, and it takes forever for him to walk away. Locks Kersey in the car, gets in her car, and takes off. And there's still a good amount of time for Kersey to get out of the car. It's like, he has a gun. He's gonna shoot the window and get out, which he does. And here, Nathan White set Kersey up. He's really not the guy he told him he was, and he's another drug dealer and just wanted to use Kersey to get rid of the other two so he can have Los Angeles to himself, which sets up our final showdown. And there's also a cop that's on his trail throughout this, and pretty much the same as the first two films, or three films. And at the end, he kills Nathan White, but not before Nathan White guns down his new girlfriend because he took her hostage. And Paul Kersey walks up these steps and walks off, and that's the end of Death Wish 4. This movie's not as good as the first three. It's okay. It's not as shitty as the fifth one. And there's some okay action scenes in this film, and there's some good revenge set pieces. Charles Bronson's still good. The woman, Kay Lutz, who plays his girlfriend's good. Dana Barrow's good. John Ryan's good. The actors are doing pretty good. There's some really cheesy moments with effects. There's a part where Paul Kersey throws this guy through a window, and the dummy that's falling looks very unconvincing. And an explosion, I said. And there's some other mishaps along the way with some of the effects that don't come off that well. But overall, you can still have a good time with it. At the end, after his girlfriend gets shot, he just looks at the body and just walks away, shows no emotion at all. And I know at this point, Paul Kersey's really doesn't have much emotion, but I thought it was an odd character choice at the end. It didn't work for me. To cut down on the budget, actually, there's a scene in this film where I want some trivia now. That Paul Kersey goes to meet Nathan White at a movie theater. Well, they didn't shoot that in a real movie theater. They actually shot it at the Canon Group's screening theater. That's where they shot it to save money. Also, for the score, they took musical cues from 10 Till Midnight, Missing in Action, and Invasion USA to save on money. And actually, this is the highest-selling VHS tape that Canon ever sold. They sold over 100,000 units to rental stores in the U.S. It was their best-selling title ever. Charles Bronson was paid $4 million to be in this film, and Bronson was 66 years old when they made this film. Overall, my rating for Death Wish 4 would be a 6 out of 10. It's still enjoyable. Part 5 is not very good. I'll review that sometime down the road. But Part 4, it's a 6 out of 10. You can still sit down and have a good time with it. Charles Bronson's still very effective as Paul Kersey. But have you ever seen Death Wish 4? I just gave it a 6 out of 10. Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video. I greatly appreciate it. You all have a great weekend, and I'll be back next week with some more reviews. Thanks. Bye.